Give me a minute and let's respond to Winston Williams' question here. And let's assume for a minute that it's asked legitimately and genuinely. I am paying attention, but how is Ukraine beating Russia when 20% of their land is taken over by Russia? What am I not seeing? Okay. Well, first of all, it's only 18%. Second of all, the war has been going on since 2014. About 9% of Ukraine, Crimea, and the Donbass were in Russia's hands at the start of the full-scale invasion. Remember, at the start of the full-scale invasion, Russia seized nearly 40% of Ukraine. Nearly 40%. The Ukrainians have taken back 54% of the land that Russia took at the time of the full-scale invasion. So Russia has lost more than half its gain. More than that, because they've only taken what they had originally plus that much more. So it's ridiculous. The battlefront is basically the same battlefront since 2014. And not only that, that is with Russia having every advantage. Just look at this map. Compare the two countries. There's no comparison between Russia and its resources and Ukraine and its resources. Russia has every advantage, nearly 4 times the population, a huge army, a huge air force, a huge navy, none of which Ukraine had. And yet Ukraine beat them back, taking back 54% of the temporarily occupied territories from Russia. Not only that, without a navy, Ukraine has sunk a third of the Black Sea Fleet, or damaged it beyond seaworthiness. And by tonnage, half of the fleet. The fleet's worthless. It's hiding over in Novorossiysk, trying to avoid Ukrainian sea drones, because the Ukrainians innovate. They innovate. Air superiority. The first job of the Air Force in any conflict is to interrupt the supply lines and dominate the skies. Russia has yet to hit a single supply train coming from Poland or the other NATO countries. Not one. The pilots themselves are afraid to fly the sorties, to drop the glide bombs on the front line, because Ukraine has shot down so many planes. Despite having every advantage, Russia can't get the upper hand in Ukraine. They're barely able to hold the line. You think they're taking land. They're not taking land. They've taken, in the last 6 months, they've managed to advance a total of 500 square kilometers. And that includes all of Avdiivka. And at what cost? By most estimates of foreign intelligence services, the loss ratio between Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers is 1 to 7 or 8. So the average of foreign intelligence services is, for every Ukrainian lost, the Russians lose 7.5 men. To say nothing of what it's doing to the Russian economy. The Russian economy is fucked. The ruble has lost 20% of its value. It's dead, according to the Yale School of Management. The ruble is dead as a foreign exchange currency. Nobody wants their money. Their own partners in the BRICS alliance are restricting trade with them. 9 of China's biggest banks have stopped taking all payments to Russia for Russian oil and for other business transactions, even when those transactions are dealt in yuan. Russia is increasingly isolated. And then there's its own failing infrastructure. Over the winter, we saw apartment buildings where people were frozen out of them with burst pipes and no heat. Now we're seeing the flooding in Orsk and Altai and Orangeburg. with the Russian government unable to do anything about it or assist their own people, which is causing a great deal of civil unrest. Then you have the head of the Russian central bank just this week saying that Russian productivity is being hindered by a lack of workers. Of course there's a lack of workers. 1.2 million people fled the country when this insane war began and the mobilization was announced. Then you've got 500,000 men that are either now gone or disabled after the war, after their time in the war. 500,000. On top of that, you got a falling birth rate because nobody in Russia wants to have kids. They don't want to bring children into this repressive, authoritarian regime where the people are treated as property by their owners. Nobody wants that. We're watching the social suicide, the cultural suicide of a nation as Vladimir Putin leads them down a path of self-destruction. And that's not to say that Ukraine isn't suffering. Ukraine's fucking suffering. But that's in spite of everything that Russia's thrown at them. Russia can't win. Russia's not going to win. This is going to cost, this insane bullshit of Vladimir Putin's will cost Russia everything. And we're watching it happen every single day. Big thank you to Ballerina, who is the sponsor of this video. Ballerina joined the Patreon at the Dobrovicher level, and if you join the Patreon at the Dobrovicher level or higher, you too will get a video sponsorship every month. So check out the Patreon, it's in the bio. Thanks.